Okay, let's see my solution. So for this part, we still gonna create a dictionary because that's a dictionary we're returning, and then we want to do a for column in the args. So for the args, well, we know there are gonna be different columns, and then I want to grab one column, make the entry counts, and then we move on, and then we grab another column. So the first thing will be for column in the args, and then well, for this part of the code, that's a part that you have already seen before, and then we just indent them further and put them into a for loop. Okay, and then still we want to grab a column, and then for each entry of the column, and then we check whether this entry is already in our dictionary. If it is already in the dictionary, and then we just do a +1, and otherwise we create a new key in the dictionary, and then we initialize the value to be 1. Okay, well, and the trick should be here. We are iterating through all the column names, and then we want to do the same thing for each of the column. Okay, well, let's see another exercise. Well, because this exercise really shows well why we want to have the flexibility. Say, well, remember we have done a Chicago transportation exercise. Oh, it is lab 2, and by the way, and then we know this function. We are reading a data frame, and then well, we also see this volume. So well, we create a volume map, and then we want to load one Chicago taxi dataset, and then after that we want to grab the pick up latitude and longitude, and then we only grab the year for 2004 and June. So that is only 1 month of the data, and after that for each pair of the latitude and the longitude, and we want to create a dot on the map. So this is how we create this volume map. So we have already learned how to do that, and we know this is the airport, and here is another airport. Okay, and then well, this only for the visualization of one taxi company, and well, not so impressive. How about we do 2 taxi companies? Okay, well, in this case, I created I loaded 2 datasets. Those are for the 2 taxi companies, and then I'm putting that into a list, right? So a list of 2 taxi companies or 2 data frames, and after that. And then, well, remember for this part of the code, we have seen that before, but now I'm creating a for loop. That is, for each of the taxi company, I want to grab the latitude, grab the longitude, and then make a plot. And here is one more thing. For each of the company, I want to use a different color. So I also created a color list, and then with the blue and yellow. Okay, and then well, you see this is a color count. So for color count, it started to be 0, saying for first company, I'm plotting all the dots with the blue color, and then after we finish visualizing the data for one company, that is the first round of this for loop finish, and then the last thing, before we end the first round of the for loop, before we visualizing all the dots of the first taxi company, we want to increase the color count by 1. So the next round, well, when I'm visiting and visualizing the data for the second taxi company, and then I'm making sure I'm using the second color, which is yellow, right? And then, well, this color count is going to be used here. So at the beginning, well, when you see the first one, well, I'm just using the color as red because there's only one taxi company in this case. However, when I'm having 2 taxi companies, and then I'm going to do the color list and then square bracket, color count. Well, in this one, this will guarantee that for the first company, I'm visualizing all the dots to be blue, and the second company, I'm visualizing all the dots to be yellow. And now I have this. So why am I a big fan of this? Well, because using volume, and then for those two taxi companies, and you can see some of the difference. Say, well, for the yellow taxi company, well, they have a lot of business in the downtown area. But if you go to the north a little bit, and you will see for this area, well, the yellow taxi company is not really active, right? So you see the difference between those 2 taxi companies. Okay, well, and my question is, well, if we want to be even more flexible, and then how can we do that? Say Oops. Okay, say we want to do something like this. Well, we want to create a function called mapMaker, and then we specify what year, what month, and then after the year and the month, and we want to have an arc. And then for this arc, it can be any number of the taxi companies. Well, we may want to do one visualization only for one company. Or we may say we want to put all the taxi companies together. We have a total of 4, and then let me put them all onto the map. Okay? Or in this case, I want to make another function call, and then I only want to visualize 2 taxi companies, and I want to get the difference between those 2 companies, and then where do they pick up the customers. Okay, well now I want to create a map maker with some flexibility. It can take one dataset, or it can take up to 4 datasets, because we have a total of 4 taxi companies. And then we can also specify which year and which month we want to look into. Okay, so that will be this function definition. Okay, so try to move on and finish the function definition here, and then I'm going to show you my answers in the next video.